On the line with us right now is a lady who has taken the most famous shower in film history. Janet Leigh, how are you? Janet, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I had the wrong button push, so you didn't hear me say that, but you have taken the most famous shower in motion picture history, as far as I'm concerned. Would you agree with that?
I think so. It was the most famous and my last.
Is that true? I heard that you don't take showers any longer.
Not if I can help it. I truly don't. I mean, you know, if I'm forced because there's no other way of bathing, then I leave the door open. I have to be able to see out.
I have to ask you this. That shower scene, as I recall, took quite a while to film, didn't it?
7 shooting days and 71 setups just for that sequence.
Were you, now I know there's cameras around, and of course Alfred Hitchcock is directing the whole thing. Did you get a little unnerved actually doing the shooting?
You mean frightened?
Yeah.
Well, the part that frightened me most in the shooting, not in the viewing, but in the shooting, was, because that was even scary then, was when the curtain went back and that thing was there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that figure, that...
Was that Tony?
Well, it was supposed to... It wasn't. He wasn't... He always jokes because everybody comes up and he says... they say to him, you know, boy, you're a bad guy, you did Janet in. And he says, I wasn't even there.
Because we didn't get a close look at him. I suppose I didn't require him to be there.
No. It wasn't necessary because you didn't know who it was anyway. And, but it's funny, he says, I've been taking a bum rap all these years.
Well, I think maybe what went through my mind, maybe when it was actually filmed, you didn't really get all that nervous about it, but maybe when you finally did get a chance to see Psycho when it was complete, it maybe would have scared you.
Oh, when I saw the cut, I mean, you know, the print, all put together, edited, I was terrified.
Mm-hmm. That's and actually, the knife never really shows any penetration at all into any skin.
Absolutely not, and you never see any nudity. It's just that wonderful genius of Hitchcock who allowed the viewer to, who did it in such a way that the viewer was able to use his abundant imagination.
You know, when they said they were going to make Psycho 2, I cringed. I thought, they're going to make a terrible movie, and they're going to ruin the memory that we have of the original. And they really didn't. It turned out to be a fine film, I thought. I thought it was pretty tastefully done. Unfortunately, you were killed off in the first one, so you couldn't be in the second one.
Right.
But how times have changed. They did a shower scene in that one, and of course there was nudity then.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We see a little bit of difference.
I just think that I think it's so different, you know, that the two pictures are so different that each one is within itself, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have the same thing that Psycho 1 had, but as I say, you know, they're each different and should be judged on their own.
Well, it's certainly a memorable picture and certainly one of the most frightening films I think that Hitchcock probably made, and maybe we ought to go on to something else.
Okay.
Because you have a lot more to talk about. You have written a new book called There Really Was a Hollywood, and it's published by Doubleday, and people can learn more about you and more about the Hollywood that evidently isn't there any longer.
Well, it really is pretty chronicled, you know, from the golden age when I first came there with the advent of television into the burgeoning of the independence, you know, and it's an entirely different Hollywood, mm-hmm. and not always the Hollywood that I think people get off. You know, a bus or get off a train or a plane and sort of look to see, well, where's Hollywood? Where am I going to see it? It's a whole different business now.
Actually, what is considered Hollywood now is certainly different just when you walk down the streets than it would have been, say, back in the golden days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's incredible that, I mean, the locale changes and everything is, you know, of course it always was spread out except for Hollywood itself. I mean, the studios were like in Burbank and in Culver City and Hollywood, but there were a lot of studios in Hollywood. And there was CBS was right there, and Sunset and Vine, and it was a central, where people could kind of get off at Sunset and Vine and look around and see a lot of Hollywood.
And now anymore, films are shot all over. In fact, a lot of people around here fell in love with your daughter when they had a chance to meet her when she was making Grandview, USA.
Oh, I know it. She was there for 3 months. She had a wonderful time there. She really liked it.
We had an experience here, and I suppose it's not the same in Hollywood, but whenever they would do any shooting, of course, crowds would gather and stay out. They don't do that in Hollywood, do they?
Well, they do because, because that's kind of like an oddity, just like it is there.
Anymore,
right in Hollywood.
A lot of motion pictures are made elsewhere, so when they do bring one back home, maybe people are excited about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You're not related to John Wayne, are you?
No, isn't that funny?
I know his real name is Marion Michael Morrison.
Right.
And yours is Jeanette Helen Morrison.
I know it. When we did Jet Pilot, we wondered if way back there was any connection there, but we couldn't find any. But it was an odd coincidence, wasn't it?
Yeah. Jet Pilot was one of the films you made. You made over 40, as I recall.
Over 50.
Over 50?
Yeah.
Start looking at some of them. Fearless Fagin. That was with Tony Curtis, wasn't it?
No.
Fearless Fagin? What am I thinking of?
No, Perfect Furlough?
I guess I'm thinking of the character he played in... I'm getting old. I can't remember the one. The Great Race.
Oh. No, Fearless Fagin was a picture with Carlton Carpenter and a lion.
Ah. I think I've seen it.
It was, do you remember years and years ago there was this story about a boy who brought his pet lion when he was inducted into the Army?
Boy, somewhere in the back of my mind, yeah, sort of.
Yeah, well, that's what that story was about.
Okay. You were in Houdini, Prince Valiant, Living It Up. I could go through a whole long list here, but...
Oh, golly.
Pete Kelly...
Candidate, Touch of Evil, Vikings...
Pete Kelly's Blues...
Oh.
Grand Slam, Fog... Boardwalk, Harper, American Dream...
Right.
You've worked with an awful lot of different people, and of course you talk about those in the book, I'm sure.
I do indeed. I talk about... I really try to go through, and tell something about each picture and each person, and my experiences with my friends and my coworkers, and also what I tried to do again was see it through the eyes as my eyes saw it then, and the reader sort of goes with me and learns about Hollywood as I learned. And, there's a lot in there about a set and the actual workings on a set. And because I didn't know what the heck any of that was. And so I wrote it so that the reader learns with me, you know, and then when I go to a new country, they sort of visit the country with me through my eyes.
I want to talk about how you were discovered and all of that, but I have to break. If you have a question you'd like to ask Janet Leigh, it could be about Psycho, could be about any of the films. I don't know, Psycho sticks in my mind as being the most memorable, and maybe that's not your favorite movie. I don't know.
Well, I think the thing is that that if you've made something in your profession that has such an impact, that's very flattering.
Yeah. We'll take phone calls at 829-2345 or 1-800-322-9377, and we'll be right back with Janet Leigh.
There's still time to find incredible savings on terrific merchandise during Bergner's anniversary sale. Save 25% on Mrs. Lee and Levi's corduroy pants and on the entire stock of Alfred Dunner Mrs. Coordinates. Bergner's entire stock of men's robes and sweater vests by Arrow, Jansen, Sundays, Puritan, and Astor One are also 25% off. Save 20% on all men's pattern separates by Hager, Farrah, and Levi Strauss. All this and a lot more. But hurry, anniversary sale ends Sunday at Bergner's.
Free delivery is like the Easter Bunny. There is no such thing. Some pizza places will tell you they have free delivery. What they don't tell you is that the delivery charge is already figured into the price of the pizza. At Garcia's, you only pay for what you want, and that's why delivery cost is a separate charge. If you pick it up or dine in, you pay only for the pizza. Makes sense, doesn't it? Garcia's says free delivery is like the Easter Bunny. It made a good story once, but now you know better.
Flowertown thanks you for a super first year. Buy 1 yard of ribbon at the regular price, get the second yard for a penny. Shop more first anniversary specials at Flowertown in Colonial Plaza.
It's 17 minutes after 11 o'clock, and you're on the air. Do you have a question?
Yes. I wonder if Miss Leigh could tell us. I'm pretty sure I know which was her first movie made, because I remember it still, and was it Romance of Rosie Ridge?
You win. That's it.
Hand that woman a cigar.
That's right.
I just thought you were such a beautiful young girl.
Well, thank you. How sweet you are. I was a very lucky little girl, I'll tell you that.
This day, but I'm not sure. Was Van Johnson the co-star?
He was the star.
I consider you a star, too, in that.
Oh, thank you. That was my first picture, and he was like the biggest name in Hollywood. And I have to tell you that he is the most giving, the nicest, sensitive human being. I just.
It was always one of my favorites too. But when you're in that with him, I still to this day remember that as your first movie, because I just thought you were so beautiful and so pure.
Oh, thank you.
Well, listen, there's an interesting story there. You know, there are a lot of beautiful faces. I forgot who was someplace. I think in Chicago. Maybe who's the talent agent by the last name of Ford? She's always looking for
Eileen Ford.
Yeah, she was saying that there's a lot of beautiful people out there, but it takes a special kind of a look or something, whatever it takes to really make it in Hollywood. And sometimes you can discover a person just like that.
But I still remember her in that movie.
Norma Shearer discovered you, didn't she, Janet?
Yeah, she sure did.
Was it just a photograph, or how'd that work?
Well, she saw a photograph of me on my daddy's desk in a ski lodge that my mom and dad were working there, and I went up to visit them at Christmas break, and I had never seen snow. Anyway, they took a little snapshot, and Daddy had it on his desk, and Norma Shearer came there, saw the picture, brought it back to Hollywood, gave it to MCA, the talent agency, and then they sent for me and brought me to MGM, and I signed a contract.
Now, is that a typical Hollywood success story or
not? No, it's not typical.
That's almost like being discovered in an elevator or at a mall shop.
It's a big chance there. And then, of course, the biggest chance after that comes of whether anything ever happens or not.
Right.
Because it just was, I was a lucky person, I tell you, because they were looking for this young, naive mountain girl, and they decided to test me for that, and I was in the picture. I got the role like 2 weeks after I was there. Or I could have just gone into, who?
Into obscurity.
Right.
Yeah. Ma'am, did you have another question?
No, I just wanted to tell her I think she's still beautiful, and I still remember her.
Well, thank you very much.
Every time I see her, I think of that movie.
Me too.
Thank you. 829-2345 is our number, or 1-800-322-9377. I can't help it. I have to ask you more about Hitchcock, because he was one of the great directors of all time, I think.
I think so, too.
What was it like working with him?
Well, he was wonderful. He was just absolutely wonderful to me. I mean, I only can answer from my point of view, right? I mean, I can't.
How did he evoke emotion in his actors and actresses, though? Did he rant and rave or anything at times?
No, not at all. He was the most soft-spoken, absolutely in control and very kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of, smooth,
Mm-hmm.
not flamboyant at all. And, see, for him, the work was done before the picture started. So much of it. I mean, the actual planning of the picture.
I'd heard him say that. He said, now once the picture is all done, all we have to do is film it.
That's right. That's exactly right, because everything was worked out in his mind. And what the that's why some performers, I think, always sort of said, well, you know, he isn't easy on actors because of that. Well, that's true in one way, but in another way, maybe we don't have the flexibility of saying, I feel like getting up on this line. You know how you in rehearsal. Well, you can't do that unless the camera gets up, and you have to move with his camera. And what he's doing is saying you have to find your own motivations and your own reasons for moving on that line. And if you can, I'm happy to help you. I mean, it isn't that he couldn't. It's just he said if you can't find within yourself why you move on this line, then we'll work it out together. But you will move on that line.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he was just saying, you know, it almost was like a challenge. You have that's your job as an actress to do that.
Yeah, and plus, if he really had it worked out ahead of time, it probably did save a lot of time, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And it was more efficient, probably was able to turn things out more rapidly than...
Well, the crew knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, they knew the progression of the shots. They knew... I mean, we didn't... it wasn't a thing of spending a day rehearsing, say, and then, you know, then they have to prepare for the shots because it was so laid out that they had been building the scaffoldings for weeks, you know, to do certain shots from up there.
Yeah. You were in a number of musicals. I don't know if you mentioned them or not. My Sister Eileen, Bye Bye Birdie, 2 tickets to Broadway, and Walking My Baby Back Home.
Yeah, that was such fun.
Yeah.
I really love doing musicals.
Wonder if we're ever going to see Hollywood turn any more of those out.
I don't know. I guess maybe because, well, I don't know why they don't.
You know, the, what was the name of the movie now? I forgot.
Flashdance?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom opened up with a great musical dance number, almost reminiscent of the great days of Hollywood. And then it went into, you know, what you'd least expect. Or, actually, that was what you'd probably least expect from Steven Spielberg. But it was nice. I was thinking, boy, if they could do that again today, it'd be great.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
I would love that. I would love that too. I'd love to watch it. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Your favorite movie would be which one?
I'd have to say that would be. I always figured that the first. I say Romance of Rosie Ridge because it was the first.
That was when it was fun, huh?
Well, no, it always was fun. I don't mean that. I mean it was hard. It's it's hard work. It's not laying on a chaise lounge popping bonbons. You work hard, but because it was the first, there's such sentimental value attached to the first of anything.
Yeah, I have to say this. We're running out of time very quickly. I know Jamie Leigh helped with a benefit back here in Central Illinois at Pontiac when she was here. And a lot of people really became endeared to her because of that, and just in the fact that they really like her and they like her work. She's getting some great reviews. I guess she takes by it naturally because you've certainly helped out with some people who are less fortunate. You spent quite a lot of time in, I want to say, South America. Is that right?
Well, that was I did for the USIS, yes. But the charitable, I've worked a lot in charity. The SHARE Incorporated, which is for the mentally retarded and multiple sclerosis. I've been involved with almost every charity that's out here.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls were, introduced to sharing very early. And Jamie has done her own sharing, and she's a nice lady. She's a nice person.
You have 2 daughters, Jamie Leigh and Kelly Leigh.
That's right.
And of course, are married to a stockbroker now.
Yes.
Life has been good, and it's nice to see that. Sometimes we sit back here and we say, well, yeah, all those folks in Hollywood, we just assume that everybody's rich and they're just on top of the world and everything is so hunky-dory. It's nice to know that you can achieve a certain amount of success and still not forget those people that have it less off or not as well off as you are. And,
I just think that sometimes you're so fortunate that you want to share everything you can.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's a pleasure to visit with you. I have to get the book.
Okay, you will have it.
I want to look through it and read it from.
It'll be in the store bookstores next week.
Okay, it's called There Really Was a Hollywood.
There Really Was a Hollywood.
It's published by Doubleday, and if your bookstore doesn't have it, for goodness sakes, tell them about it, and they'll order it for you.
Get it.
Right. Janet Leigh, it's nice to visit with you.